Welcome to Rhema Words of Faith, Daily Bread Devotionals. Today, we're focusing on one of the most profound and life-changing commands given by Jesus in Mark 12, verse 31, which states, "The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself." There is no commandment greater than these. In a world where people often feel isolated or undervalued, this verse challenges us to radically redefine how we view ourselves and others. It reminds us that love is not merely an emotion, but an active, intentional commitment to treat others with the same care, respect, and compassion that we naturally desire for ourselves. This command, coming right after Jesus' call to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, encapsulates the very essence of a Christ-like life. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what it truly means to love your neighbor as yourself, how this love can transform your relationships and community, and why it is the greatest commandment of all. Whether you're struggling with relationships, feeling disconnected, or simply wanting to grow in your faith, this message is for you. Let's journey together into understanding the depth of God's call to love and discover practical ways to put this command into action in our daily lives. When Jesus instructs us to love your neighbor as yourself, he expands the definition of neighbor beyond physical proximity or familiar faces. Your neighbor isn't just the person living next door. It's anyone in need, anyone you encounter on your journey, regardless of their background or beliefs. This command challenges us to break down barriers and extend our care to those who might be different from us or even difficult to love. By loving our neighbor, we mirror the heart of God, who loves all people unconditionally. Think about the countless opportunities you have each day to show kindness: a smile to a stranger, a helping hand to a colleague, or a listening ear to a friend in distress. True love, as Jesus calls us to practice, is not limited by convenience or personal preference. It's a radical, all-encompassing love that reflects God's nature. As you consider who your neighbor is, remember that every interaction is a chance to demonstrate God's love. When we step outside our comfort zones and embrace this broader definition, we help create a world where compassion and understanding overcome division and indifference. This is not always easy, but it is essential if we are to live out the gospel authentically. Loving your neighbor as yourself is more than a lofty ideal. It's a call to action. Practical love can take many forms: offering a genuine smile, providing a listening ear, or going out of your way to help someone in need. It might be as simple as checking in on a friend who seems down, or as bold as stepping into a difficult conversation to extend forgiveness. When you practice these small acts of kindness, you demonstrate a deep trust in God's command and reveal the transformative power of His love. It's important to understand that this kind of love is sacrificial. It means putting others' needs before your own sometimes, even when it requires personal sacrifice. Jesus modeled this when He washed His disciples' feet and ultimately gave His life for all. Embracing this lifestyle of love means actively seeking ways to serve, encourage, and uplift those around you. It is about being a light in a dark world, showing that the love you have for God overflows into every relationship. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, what can I do today to love my neighbor better? Whether it's through a kind gesture, supportive words, or a practical act of service, every effort counts. Remember, love multiplies when shared. Your simple actions can create a ripple effect, inspiring others to also extend compassion and kindness, ultimately building a community rooted in genuine care and mutual support. Even though we are called to love our neighbor as ourselves, there are often barriers that hinder us from doing so fully. These barriers might be past hurts, cultural differences, personal insecurities, or even simply the busyness of life. Many times, we hold on to grudges or let fear of vulnerability keep us from reaching out to others. Yet, the command of Mark 12, verse 31 is a challenge to break free from these limitations. and to choose love over indifference. Overcoming these barriers requires self-reflection and a willingness to extend grace, both to ourselves and to others. When we forgive and let go of bitterness, we create room in our hearts for genuine love. It also means stepping out of our comfort zones and taking risks in our relationships, even when it's hard. This process isn't instantaneous. It's a journey of learning to trust, to be vulnerable, and to put others first. Consider that every time you choose to forgive, you are mirroring the immense forgiveness that God has extended to you. As you work on overcoming these obstacles, you'll find that your relationships begin to flourish, and the love you give returns to you in unexpected ways. Embracing this kind of love is not only beneficial for those around you, but also liberating for your own soul. It frees you from the chains of past pain and opens your heart to the abundant joy that comes from living in the light of God's love. When you truly embrace the command to love your neighbor as yourself, the impact on your life and community is transformative. Love has the power to mend broken relationships, heal deep wounds, and create bonds that transcend differences. Living out this command isn't just about feeling good. It's about changing the way you interact with the world. As you begin to practice unconditional love, you'll notice that your heart becomes more open, your perspective shifts, and you start to see others through the lens of God's grace. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but through consistent, intentional actions, your life becomes a living testimony to the love of Christ. Imagine a community where every person actively shows compassion and kindness, where differences are celebrated and unity prevails. That's the kind of impact your love can have. Your willingness to love boldly, even when it's challenging, inspires others to do the same. Every act of love, no matter how small, has the potential to spark a chain reaction of hope and healing. By living out this command, you not only honor God, but also pave the way for a more caring and compassionate world. Reflect on how your life has been changed by love, and let that be your motivation to continue sharing God's heart with those around you. Living out the command, love your neighbor as yourself, isn't just about occasional grand gestures. It's about making that love a part of your everyday routine. Imagine waking up each day and choosing to treat everyone you encounter with the same care and respect you naturally desire for yourself. This means taking the time to listen attentively to a coworker, offering a smile to a stranger, or being patient with someone who is having a bad day. When you live out this command, you are not merely following a rule. You are reflecting the heart of Jesus. He modeled unconditional love in every interaction, and He calls us to do the same. Think of your daily activities as opportunities to demonstrate this love. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your community, every small act of kindness contributes to a larger picture of what it means to be a light in the world. It might be as simple as holding a door open or offering words of encouragement. Yet these acts have the power to transform someone's day. When you choose to love your neighbor in this consistent, genuine manner, you build bridges that overcome differences and heal old wounds. This way of living becomes not just a habit, but a lifestyle, one where love becomes your default response. As you walk through your day, remind yourself that every interaction is a chance to honor God by treating others with the dignity and compassion that you expect for yourself. In doing so, you invite others to experience God's love, and you become an example of the transformative power of Christ's teachings. Even though Jesus commands us to love our neighbor as ourselves, many of us face internal and external barriers that prevent us from fully living out this mandate. These barriers may include past hurts, prejudices, or even the busyness of life that makes it hard to connect with those around us. Often we hold on to negative feelings, anger, disappointment, or fear that block us from extending the kind of unconditional love that God expects. To break down these barriers, it starts with honest self-reflection. Ask yourself what or who might be causing you to hold back love. Is it a past betrayal, unresolved conflict, or simply an ingrained habit of self-protection? Recognize that these barriers, while understandable, are not permanent. With prayer and a willingness to forgive, you can release the burdens that weigh you down. When you forgive, you open your heart to healing and create space for genuine love to flourish. Overcoming these obstacles is not an instant process. It requires time, humility, and a conscious decision to let God's love transform you from within. As you work on dismantling these barriers, you will find that your relationships begin to improve, and you start to experience the freedom that comes with embracing others wholeheartedly. Let the love of Christ empower you to break down every wall of distrust or bitterness. By doing so, you not only grow in your own faith, but you also become a beacon of hope and reconciliation in a world that desperately needs healing and unity. When you choose to love your neighbor as yourself, the effect of that love spreads far beyond individual relationships. It transforms entire communities. Imagine a neighborhood where everyone takes the time to care for one another, where differences are celebrated and acts of kindness are the norm rather than the exception. Such a community becomes a living testimony of God's love, inspiring others to also act with compassion and generosity. This ripple effect starts with you. Every time you demonstrate genuine care for another person, you plant a seed of hope. Whether it's reaching out to someone who feels isolated, lending a helping hand to those in need, or simply offering a sincere smile to a stranger, your actions can change lives. Over time, these small acts of love build a culture of empathy and support, making it easier for people to overcome differences and find common ground. The Bible tells us that love is a powerful force that can break down barriers and heal wounds. When you model this love, you not only honor the command of Jesus but also create an environment where trust and respect flourish. A community built on love is resilient. It can withstand challenges and bounce back stronger from setbacks. As more people experience the kindness and care that comes from genuine love, the collective spirit of the community is uplifted. Your commitment to living out this command inspires others to do the same, fostering an atmosphere where everyone feels valued and supported. In essence, by loving your neighbor as yourself, you contribute to a brighter, more united world, where God's light shines through every interaction. Loving your neighbor as yourself can be challenging, especially when faced with difficult relationships or when personal hurt runs deep. Sometimes, past betrayals or misunderstandings make it hard to extend grace, and cultural or societal differences might seem like insurmountable obstacles. However, the command in Mark 12, verse 31 is clear. True love is meant to overcome all barriers. When you encounter resistance or pain, it's important to remember that the love Jesus showed was not limited by circumstances. He loved those who were rejected and even those who opposed him. To overcome these challenges, start by forgiving and releasing any resentment you might be holding on to. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness. In doing so, you open your heart to genuine reconciliation and healing. This process of overcoming challenges in love requires both prayer and persistence. Ask God to help you see the other person through His eyes, to understand their struggles, to empathize with their pain, and to extend the same compassion He has shown you. This approach can transform difficult interactions into opportunities for growth and connection. It's a journey that might take time, but every step you take toward forgiveness and understanding is a step toward a more loving and fulfilling life. As you work on overcoming these challenges, you'll notice that your own heart begins to heal, and that the relationships you rebuild are more authentic and meaningful. Remember, the strength to love deeply comes from God, and when you lean on Him, even the most challenging circumstances become pathways to greater unity and grace. As we close this devotional, remember that loving your neighbor as yourself is not just a command. It's a way of life that transforms your heart and impacts the world around you. This command calls you to act, to be proactive, and to let your love shine in every interaction. Whether it's reaching out to someone in need, offering forgiveness, or simply being a source of encouragement, every act of love matters. When you love genuinely, you reflect the heart of Christ, making His light visible to a world in darkness. If you feel inspired to make a change, start by taking small steps today. Look for opportunities to show kindness, to speak words of encouragement, and to extend compassion without expecting anything in return. And remember, your journey of love is not solitary. Each act of genuine care creates ripples that can transform communities. If this message has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and share this devotional with someone who needs to be reminded of the power of love. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you never miss an inspiring message. Keep shining your light and let love guide your every step. God bless you, and may His love continue to transform your life.